All right, here we are. Sorry about that. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the Knockem Dead Comedy Radio Show on govsradio.com. Also on Gov's Comedy Club Radio is the YouTube channel. I don't know if we're on there right now. I couldn't find it because you see it.
It just popped
It just
YouTube,
popped on now.
We
All right.
certainly didn't knock anybody dead yet.
Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm actually still trying to work something out here.
Yeah.
But Jackie's here, Andy's here, so we're going to have a fun Friday. Hope everybody's doing well. And, of course, please go to govs.com. That is the website for the club. They got all sorts of great stuff happening. Andrew Dice Clay is here this weekend. And, of course, Anthony Rodia has added a show for tomorrow night. And, of course, yeah, just great stuff going on all over the place. Of course, you got the brokerage in Belmore, McGuire's in Bohemia, and Governor's right here in Levittown. Govs.com. There we go. All right. You got a show coming up.
Something.com.
Yeah, I'm trying to push them all while working at the same time.
I got a show coming up in Middletown at a drive-in. You know, this guy is an old friend. He booked drive-in theater when it seemed like a great idea, and then all of a sudden things are opening up again. But now they might be closing up again, so who the hell knows?
I think it's still a good idea, personally.
But do you know the story? Did I ever tell you the story? This guy's name's Peter Otto.
No.
Yeah.
The show is me and Shuley, who was on the Stern Show,
Right.
a former Sternie. So I think we can sell a lot of tickets. And it's like, it's a drive-in. It's literally, they sell to carloads of people, but there's also like 100 seats in the front, like a regular comedy club. And I haven't worked one of these yet, so I know it'll be great. The last time I was at a drive-in was in like 1965 when we smuggled the girls. The girls drove in and we were in the trunk. Right. And then the girls let us out when we got there, and like 2 years later, the girls said, "By the way, we owe you money." We knew the girl who was taking tickets, and we didn't have to pay to get in. So this guy calls me up and says, "Jackie, you may not remember me." And this is before the pandemic. Just as my documentary is getting finished, he said, "You might not remember me. I'm a challenged guy who was your intern in like 1988. Me and Gary Delabate and Fred Norris did a show at Post College, and this guy booked it. And Post College wouldn't give him a big room because they didn't think he could do well.
Right.
So we were in a small room, and there was a line around the building because the Stern Show was huge."
Yeah.
And he said that inspired me so much. He said, "And I asked you, could I come be your intern?" And he has MS. And he was our intern for me and Nancy, which didn't entail doing a lot more except when I got home from the Stern Show, eating the hot dogs or the chicken that I barbecued. You know, we had great, great fun at Jokeland. And so he calls a couple months ago, however long, 6 months, a year, whatever it was, and said, "This is Peter Otto. I was your intern in the late 80s.
So he called you, but when was the last time you talked to him?
Then.
Late 80s.
Oh, okay.
And he says, "You might not remember me." I said, "Let me leaf through all the interns we had who had MS in 19." I said, "Are you an idiot?" I said, "Of course I remember you. You know, we had a great time." He now owns 12 theaters.
Oh, wow.
And books 100 theaters. He's got an entire theater chain, and my documentary's about to come out. It's like that. Now, that's karma, because we treated him like gold. But then all of a sudden, everything closed up. But then he said, "Look, let me book you guys." It's the Middletown, New York. It's called the Fair Oaks Drive-In Theater. And it's 9 p.m. Saturday night, August 14th. So please come out if you're within the sound of my voice, or even if you're not, take a ride up there and fill your car with pot and booze and wine and have some fun, bring some condoms, whatever you want to do.
So he was going to show the documentary in some of his theaters?
He called up and just said, "Listen, I have all these theaters." I said, but he just called up to see what I was up to.
Right.
I said, "We just have a documentary." He had no idea that it was like such a ridiculous coincidence. But like everything in my life, it's a good news, bad news story. Hey, I have this great documentary. Hey, I got 1 million theaters. Hey, there's a pandemic.
Right.
So that sucked on, But so now we're going to see what happens. But we're going to get the show at his theaters, and
sure, which is great. But I'm dying to see that documentary come out because it's fantastic. So I want everybody to see it.
Thanks. The feedback is great. we're having trouble getting into festivals because.
Well, are the festivals even open?
Well, you have to apply to them, and Ian said you get the application form, and like the first question is the director transsexual. You know what I mean? All they want is all they want is
niche, special,
right?
Not just niche, but they want they want African American, they want Asian, they want
promote diversity.
And I understand it. They want to do diversity, so that's fine. But
everybody knows you're African.
Yeah, Yeah, we have a documentary. It's about a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant that lives in the richest area of the entire world who tells dick jokes. Oh, let me put that on top of the pile. But meanwhile, it'll be great, and it'll help draw people to see the movies they don't want to see. So, for Christ's sake. So we'll see what's happening. And right now, the North Fork Film Festival is going on. My good friend Elias Plagiano is the booker. What's it called? The director. I guess is the program director. And that's starting next week, and that's really great. That's out in Greenport. I'm not part of that, but it's really wonderful.
It just hit me. I actually know a guy who's part of the board of a film festival in Brooklyn. I'm going to reach out to him.
Please, we actually went to.
I forgot.
I don't know if you knew that I had a small role in a pilot that we put out where I played the landlord who and we aired that at the Brooklyn Film Festival. You know what? But there's probably a lot of film festivals in Brooklyn. It used to be there were two there was Sundance and
Cannes.
And there were Cannes, and then Cannes, and then all of a sudden now you can't throw a stone without hitting one. But that's good. So everybody gets to show their stuff, and it's exciting. And also, next weekend I'm going to Boston. I don't even promote it because it's always sold out so far in advance. Because it's me and Lenny Clark and Christine Hurley, who are three.
Oh, that's great.
Strong, dirty, wild headliners, and I've been doing it every year, except for last year.
Right.
For 5 or 6 years. And 1 year, the Saturday night show, we flew in a private plane to Martha's Vineyard, and it was at the. Not Puerto Rican, the Portuguese American Club.
Right.
And that's where the event was, and it was to raise money for I think they were called the Dolphins or whatever they called. There's a semi-pro baseball team on Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, I had no idea.
One of the owners is Bill Murray. So Bill Murray was there.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And I had a killer set. And I came off, and Mike Clark says, come on, that's Lenny's brother. He says, you got to meet Bill Murray. And he brought me in. He said, Bill, this is Jackie the Joke Man Martling. And Murray goes to me, he goes, you're the third person tonight that told me they were Jackie the Joke Man. And I said, yeah, you're the second person tonight that told me they were Bill Murray. He said, you're all right. You're fucking funny.
Kevin Scott is watching. Hello, Kevin. Film's on tap tonight at 9 o'clock right here in the studio.
Very
Kevin's
special.
farewell.
Yep.
That's right. He's moving out of state.
Where's he going?
I think he's going to Florida, yeah.
Is this somebody I know?
I don't think so. He's one of the hosts of the show here. Film's on tap on tonight.
Why would you go to Florida? Why not just walk in front of a bus? How scary is this whole thing?
I'm not a Florida guy.
I've been saying from the beginning that this is nowhere near over.
Right.
I read that 1917 Great Epidemic book, and it just turns around and comes back like Columbo. Well, one more thing.
Yeah.
Well, you think the Delta variant's going to come back to get us?
I think, and if the left don't get it, then the right one will. I think we don't even know what's coming. That's why I'm dancing fast and leaving a good-looking corpse.
You're on the Knockem Comedy Radio Show. Who's this?
Hello, Tony. What's going on, buddy?
Hello, DJ D Love. Say hi to Jackie the Joke Man and Andy.
Hello, guys. Good morning to you guys.
I got a question for you.
What is it, buddy?
Does it say DJ D Love on your birth certificate?
Yes, it does.
I'll be damned. That's funny because my birth certificate says Joke Man.
So what do you got planned for the weekend there, DJ?
I had a good weekend last week. It was really good. But
this coming weekend, yeah.
This weekend, well, I'm going to celebrate my husband's birthday on Sunday.
You're going to celebrate your husband's birthday on. How old is he going to be?
He's going to be 47.
47?
No, wait a minute. You're a lot older than him. Look at you rocking the cradle, robbing the cradle, rocking. Is it rocking?
Both.
Okay. Wow.
Oh
look at
yeah, you know that.
So what do you? How are you celebrating? With a lot of smooches?
No, I was gonna get me like I'm gonna call him up on his birthday a couple times.
Oh, very nice.
Stuff like that.
You're gonna sing to him over the phone?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that to him. Hold on, but I was gonna say happy birthday to him a couple times.
All right. Look, so you want to get our weekend started with a little rap, maybe a little dedication to
Actually, no.
your husband Dorian?
I got a song actually. It could be pretty cool actually.
Okay.
It's about Dorian. It's a song about Dorian actually.
Go ahead.
Ready?
Yep.
It's a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Dorian. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dorian. Happy birthday to you from DJ D-Love. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, it's not over.
Happy birthday, dear Dorian. And many, many more.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Very
Come on,
nice.
Dorian.
2 verses.
Nice job and happy birthday, Dorian. Have a great weekend and enjoy your phone time with your husband.
I'm counting the days down, Tony. I hope you have everything ready for my show.
Yep, we'll be ready for you on August 20th. Absolutely.
See you later.
Yes, I hope that loser is going to be there too. I see that loser right there.
Oh,
Loser.
Andy?
What's going on, Anthony?
Andy will be here. Andy will be
Yeah.
here. All right, DJ, we got to go. Have a great weekend, pal.
Thanks for
All
calling
right,
me a
yes,
loser
you too,
again.
guys. See you guys later.
See ya.
I got one more thing before I say go.
Yep.
You suckers.
Suckers! There you
Yep.
go. DJ D-Love, he's a regular caller.
No, he's not.
He calls often.
Wow.
He's a big support. He watches the show. Him and his husband actually came in here, and Sallie married them a couple of years ago.
So now she's married to both of them?
Yeah, that's the way she
That's
swings.
how she goes, yeah. You knew she was a cool chick.
Well, I miss Sallie for whatever it's worth.
Yes, we all do, and we wish...
She has much nicer breasts than Andy.
Yeah, I got nothing.
he's close.
And
he's
a lot
close.
more legs than Tony. So she's,
Well, that's anybody. We
Double.
wish Sallie's sister Cindy the best today. Today's round 2 of the chemo. As you guys know, we've been talking about it. So we wish her all the best.
wish her all the best.
And she's actually watching, while her sister's sitting there getting her treatment. Sallie is watching on YouTube there. Gov's Comedy Club Radio is the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please share the link to the show. Please share the link to all the shows here at Gov's Radio. We have a lot of great shows here. A lot of things cooking, a lot of new things coming your way. Adam Snare's watching. Joan Asher is watching. Joe Beansy. And all the regulars are watching. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it.
All right, so Sallie or anybody out there, if you have a twisted, fun-loving, or silly niece, nephew, or whatever they're calling them nowadays, whatever the pronouns are for kids that aren't yours, or sons or daughters or whatever you're calling them, even if they are yours, between the ages of, say, I would say 3 and 95, there's a new book available on Amazon, which is so fun. This guy called me up and said, "Do you want to have a book?" And I sent him some kids' jokes. And all of a sudden, in a week, we have a book. And I thought, well, this is bull. So I ordered one on Amazon. Got it. Yes, I got it in a day. I swear to God, Amazon, you order something, before you hang up the phone, it's on your front door.
Yes.
And it's called Gross Jokes for Juniors #1. And it comes up immediately, and I think it's $9.99. And it's very disgusting, but, not dirty. Disgusting kids' jokes, but this guy, drew the pictures, and they're all green and gooey. Right. But kids love that.
Yeah,
I don't know about you. I wasn't a fan of that stuff when I was a little kid.
No.
And then all of a sudden, when we started getting older, all of a sudden kids had the slime. And all that.
Well, Nickelodeon made that big back in the 80s and
Where
stuff.
people fell in gop.
Right.
And, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't big on that.
We
either.
settled for mud,
Right.
It's true.
Do you know, people, I grew up so rough. I walked a mile to school. It dawned on me today, I never, ever used shampoo till I got to college.
What?
We didn't have shampoo in my house. You washed your hair with the same green Palmolive soap that you washed your body with.
Right.
The concept of a separate soap being in a thing, it never dawned. I was just thinking about that today. I'm like, holy mackerel.
You had the solid bar.
The green bar.
And you would rub your hair with that?
But there
remember
would
as a
have been
kid we
no
did
place
that.
to
Really?
put.
Yeah.
There would have been no place to put. I don't think I've ever told anybody that, because number one, it's not something to be glad or proud or whatever.
Guys, you got to hear this.
But it's like probably another 49 cents that I don't know. I don't know whether that was on purpose or whether they didn't bother or, now I got to ask my sister she'll probably go, "You're crazy. We had shampoo in every room."
I know. Now you got me thinking. Like, did we have shampoo or did we?
I remember expressly washing my hair with bar soap.
Really?
Yeah, all of a sudden, it was like one of those things where all of a sudden, I tell stories about how my mother made the hamburger meat, and all of a sudden, a newfangled thing where they had the meat already in a package with plastic on it, and that was. But it was when I was tiny. I mean, I was probably 5. I might have been 4. I might have been 8. But that was a new thing.
Right.
Well, look at the hamburgers already ground up. I
Right.
can still see it. People have those things in their houses, but they're like,
They cost a lot, actually.
they're what do you call it? Not discussion items,
It's, conversation piece.
Conversation.
Right.
I'm so old. I started taking Prevagen. I actually did. I go see those goddamn commercials. Prevagen.
Is that the one
Enough
that's
of
made?
that crap?
Is that the one that's made out of octopuses?
Jellyfishes.
Or jellyfish? That's
I
it.
don't know if that's the same one, but these, me and my wife go for a walk every day, and I so often forget her name. But now we take Prevagen. I'm like, this is such crap. And then I saw this friend that has fixed my cars on and off for 40 years. We went into AA. Well, he went into AA. I stopped drinking about the same time. And I go, wow, your desk is so neat. You're so together. He says, yeah. He says, I'm sharp as a tack. He said, I got to tell you, I take this stuff Prevagen. I said, okay. All right. I just needed one testimonial that wasn't a paid actor.
Right.
Even though they say these are not actors.
Right.
Of course.
And so I started taking it. I forget how long ago. Everything
Maybe I didn't start. Maybe I didn't start yet.
Everything you go to say it, but, I forget who told me to take it. But the truth is, how will you ever know what you would have remembered?
Right.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
But I get, conversation piece. That's not a tough concept. It's one of those things that you talk about.
I would even say ornamental, like that. I thought you were going even in that direction.
I'm not Asian.
Speaking of conversation starters and talking about,
I thought he was going to say speaking of Asians.
Yeah,
no,
me too.
I'm in enough trouble.
It's like, oof.
We and talking about stuff, trying to get picked up like your documentary. Just yesterday I stumbled across the Jackie Martling show. I never knew about it, never saw anything of it, and
how many of them there have been there? One was less important than the other.
10 years ago, you tried to do a talk show, and you made a pilot. Chris Monty was on it. It looked like it was filmed at your house.
What happened was there's an incredible space
between your ears,
right where they just pretty soon after they closed off Times Square and filled it with horrible, ugly green lawn chairs. The NASDAQ is there at the corner, I think, Broadway and 41st
if
or
you say
43rd. But the NASDAQ, it's a kind of on an angle, and the whole corner is a glass enclosed building.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know where you're talking about.
And that's the NASDAQ. But it closes at 5 o'clock. And Joey Reynolds had a show right there. Like, he was facing this way, but there was a stage and a talk show set, and the right in the corner, a completely glass enclosed, where if you wanted to talk to people, Times Square, if there's a TV show going on or something going on behind glass,
Right, everybody's,
so.
hey.
And I did the show a bunch of times and bailed him out because he'd get so boring. But he had the gang from Jersey Boys, because Joey knew everybody, And I went on the show a whole bunch of times, and he lost the show. This guy, you thought he was selling the ads, and you thought he was selling the ads, and nobody was doing anything. And all of a sudden, he's losing the show. And they brought me in and talked to me and asked me if I wanted the show. And the stories about the guy that I met, this guy, his name's Ronald Luxembourg. I'm sure every million people just dropped their phones, even though there's only 2 people listening. He's such a great character. He's one of these. He was the most popular, the youngest promotional director that was so successful. When he was like 29 years old, he worked as the A&R guy for Epic and signed like Michael Jackson and the Beach Boys. And, he's one of these guys that peaked at 29 and he's still looking for a gig. And he's 100 years old now. And he's such a nice guy and he's so full of crap. But the trouble with people that are full of crap is occasionally they tell the truth.
Right.
And you got to
what
be
keeps you
on,
coming
he
back.
told me, my son-in-law is producing this movie. You wouldn't believe it. Whoopi Goldberg, Tom Cruise, yak, 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 yak. Yeah, the rock and roll, Hoochie Coo, what was the name of that movie? The History of Rock and Roll?
History of Rock and Roll was
Story
a
of Rock-
documentary.
Right.
Yeah, in the
No,
90s.
no. The actual movie that was based on that, not rock, But all of a sudden, 2 years later,
Vinyl?
here's this movie with Tom Cruise and Whoopi Goldberg and all these huge stars. And I was like, Ron, you never told me you told the truth. So they call me and I meet him at Patsy's, and they're having a meeting before they met with me. Danny Aiello, I don't know if you've heard of this, and this is absolutely true. Danny passed. He was a great, great friend. Danny Aiello was going to do a one-man musical about Al Capone's time in jail.
Oh, my goodness.
And I said, a musical? And the guy next to me said, yeah, I'm writing the music. We got 29 songs already.
Right.
I said, how can you... Al Capone in jail? And he said, don't look at me, pal. I spent the last 2 days writing a song called Syphilis. And I'm not making it up.
Rock of Ages.
Don't drop
Rock
the
of
soap.
Ages. So they want to put
Don't
me...
drop the soap, baby.
They wanna give
Don't
me-
drop the soap.
They want to give me that space.
Oh,
To
okay.
do the Jackie Martling show to replace the Joey Reynolds show. They say, but we really need some kind of demo, and I don't think I even know who shot it.
Well, it said under Vimeo it was posted by Joe Valente. Does that
Yeah,
help?
yeah. Who disappeared, of course, but it was great. I did a bad monologue, and then I sat up on my deck and did a desk piece, which I still think was funny.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
With the cards
Yep.
and everything.
Names of the show.
Names of the show. And then interviewed my friend Sid and Monty
And Bales.
Peter Bales
Right.
out on the deck, and it was very colorful. And a lot of people thought it was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
But by the time we did the demo, people were like, "What show?"
Right.
I think one of the guys wound up in jail. Not Ron. Ron was a straight shooter. Just the people that he met that had money were very good at either taking a powder or doing some powder or winding up in jail.
And then what became of the set? What'd they do with that?
Well, that was all that was the NASDAQ, and at night they pushed everything back and
Yeah.
brought in cameras, and
a good idea.
it seemed like a pretty.
Right.
Not adventurous. What's the word? A big thing to do. But every night they were doing it, and it was so fun. I mean, I wonder if those Joey Reynolds shows are around. But it just stopped, and I had stars in my eyes. I mean, I'm picturing. I'm in the corner of 43rd and Broadway doing a live show, and I could just go out and talk to people on the
Yeah,
street.
right.
I mean, I'm like,
You'd be
okay, well,
perfect for
I'm
that.
made. I don't.
Right.
They don't have to give me a nickel for this. And then they put together. But would you see a demo? Somebody sent you a.
No, I was getting ready for the show today, just Googling and trying to just get
It's
stuff.
on
some
the
info.
internet?
It's on Vimeo. That's where I found it.
Oh,
I
on
found-
Vimeo.
Yeah, that's
I
where I
still
found
don't
it.
know what that. I know what it is, but you could just go on there and access anything.
Google yourself. I mean, that's right. How
You
I
go
found
Google.
it.
Yeah, I was about to say, you were Googling Jackie before the show. That's awfully forward of
So
you.
we came up with ideas for the name of the show. Here's one I like: the Jackie Martling Show. And this one maybe is a little bit misleading, and it said the Howard Stern
Yeah,
Show.
yeah.
It's funny.
I thought that was great. Yeah.
Of course, they sat there and laughed. And I had I had a little thing at Theodore Roosevelt, which I have an update. I've been putting you through this for years, right?
Yes.
We found a Roosevelt to give us DNA. So my grandmother's side of the family, we got a guy from that side. The theory being that Theodore Roosevelt's father was the illegitimate. My great grandfather was his illegitimate son, and my grandmother was his daughter, and my father was her son, and I'm my father's son. But we had to sidestep my grandmother and go to one of her brothers because you need a Y chromosome,
Right.
which is only the male. But a Y chromosome it's a handstand.
Right.
So it's Theodore Roosevelt's father to my great-grandfather to my great-grandfather's son to his son to his son to one of the halls. And we've been trying to get a Roosevelt, and I almost got DNA a couple times, and everybody, I don't know if chicken out is the word. I don't know if they think that we're looking for money, but it's like,
That's probably
but
what they
that's
think.
not what I just want. It's been a family rumor for a long time.
So you just want to know. That's the
just
whole
want to
extent of
know.
it.
And my
Right.
girlfriend's like, what's going to happen if it's not true? I'm like, well, who cares, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And my friend Sid Mandelbaum is so brilliant.
He was on the show.
The first thing he did was he was instrumental in proving that Anastasia wasn't Anastasia,
Okay, I
which
was
was
just
a
reading
big
that-
deal
that-
years ago.
yeah.
Really? Yeah.
And
Yep.
and now they're getting the DNA from all the Holocaust survivors. I mean, he's a monster. He's so good at this. And my cousin John, who's the town historian of Oyster Bay, who swears this entire thing is absolutely true, but we have no proof. He said, we can't get somebody from Theo Roosevelt, Roosevelt's father. But once the Y chromosome is implanted, it's there. So he said the way they got Hemings, do you remember Jefferson fathered a kid with
Yes.
Sallie Hemings?
Right.
Yes.
But they couldn't prove it because she didn't have a male child or something like that. But instead of going to, didn't get Jefferson's DNA because he didn't have any male sons. That's what it was. So they not only went to his father because he didn't have any. They went to Jefferson's grandfather, who had a couple of kids, and then went to the grandson. As long as it stayed in the male thing,
Right.
it was Jefferson's grandfather's son, and they got the Y and matched it up with Sallie and proved beyond any doubt that Jefferson,
Right.
had an affair with Sallie. So
Right.
he got the right. So they went, instead of Theodore Roosevelt's father, his brother James, and James had X amount of son and a son and a son, and one of the sons, my cousin John said, it's a guy in Texas. I Googled, and
Right.
I said, wait, here's a guy in Texas. And it turns out the guy lives 5 minutes from the DNA lab in Texas. I mean,
Oh, wow.
the way that stuff works out is just hysterical. So, Sid called me up and said, are you going to be ready if it turns out negative? I'm like, yeah, fine. I know I'm going to come in and talk to Tony and Andy about,
Well, I got a question.
I can see the cover of the Oyster Bay Guardian. Martling is not a Roosevelt.
Thank God.
Yeah, you could do it on Maury
I'll be on a
Povich.
horse with a sword with a line through my face.
Big bushy mustache like yours.
Maury Povich is still around?
Yeah, I
think so. Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no, he
is.
does the DNA test, so you are not the father, or
Right.
you are the father.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Maury Povich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He had the show.
Inside
He had a
edition.
show on next to us when we did the shows for Channel 5 in like 1985.
Current
Inside
Affair.
edition. Current Affair. That's
Yeah.
it. No.
Yeah, and then Bill O'Reilly did Current Affair for a while.
And didn't he take off with
Connie Chung.
Miss Chow Mein? Yeah. Wow.
I always thought that was interesting.
She looked Asian.
You think?
Yeah.
I always thought she was a good-looking woman, and then she was like, and classy. She did Real News, and then she hooked
Right.
up with that clown. I always thought that was weird.
Slumming.
Well,
Now, she's still alive, I hope.
I
I
guess
think
so.
so. Yeah, I haven't heard that she's. I don't think so. I don't think I've heard that she's dead.
Well, speaking of which,
Maury Povich.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maury. His name. The name
Yeah,
of the
that's
show
the
is
show.
just
Maury. Yeah.
Current Affair.
Mm-hmm.
And he does DNA?
Oh, he's
yo,
had that
that's like
trashy
his-
talk show for years now.
that's
He's had
his
that.
main-
I got a
Mainstay.
show. I know him. I got to call him.
Apparently, you know him well. You don't even know if he's alive.
No, but I mean, we knew him back then because he couldn't believe what we got away with. Meanwhile, we didn't get away with anything. They never aired the Fox shows. And I wonder if they're probably on Vimeo.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Now, how would something get on Vimeo? Wouldn't somebody have to load it on?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where I saw the name Joe Valente. He must have posted it himself.
He must be a producer. I remember the guy, and I remember literally liking the guy, but then I remember, where is the guy?
On Vimeo.
That's a story. That's a story about everybody, you know. Hey, I had this great friend. Where is he? I don't know.
Now a guy like Valente, he just approaches you and says, "Hey, I heard about the NASDAQ thing."
I
Let's.
always laugh because there was a guy named Charlie Valenti when we started comedy who was the worst comic. And people used to get up at roast, and the first thing they'd say is, "I will not book Charlie Valenti." Now, where were we? No, I did. This guy, I don't know whether he produced Joey's show and then they were going to segue to me, or whether they got rid of Joey's producer. And, you know, I love Joey, and me and him have been friends forever and ever and ever, but I've never really talked to him about it because I kept saying, listen, I'm not taking Joey's show. Joey didn't want in. Joey wants it, doesn't want it. He's not part of this, blah, blah, blah. You know, because it's always like, you could leave, move to Florida, change sexes, and shoot yourself, and then somebody else walks in the studio. Oh, they took Tony's show.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, nobody wants my show. Nobody wants me.
Joe Valenti, call. Well, the babysitter called. It's only a flesh wound.
All right, well, that's my question. Does a guy like Valente approach you, and then do you, if
No,
you don't mind
these
me asking,
guys-
do you get paid when you just for shooting a pilot like that, or do they make all sorts of promises?
No,
and-
I don't even know. I'm sure it would have paid money had I gotten the gig or whatever.
Yeah, of course, right.
But
I'm just saying,
you
to
know.
shoot a pilot, do they come to you and say,
But that's like anything in show business. Does this pay money? No, unless they offer or you demand. If you want money, somebody says, I want you to do this, you say, okay, or you say, okay, for $300, and they say, we're not paying, and you either say, okay, I'll do it anyway, or you disappear,
Right, okay.
Right.
It's not like it's a pilot and you look it up. Somebody was telling me last night about, I lost my left finger in high school, and they sent me to the lawyer. The lawyer took out the book, left finger, one finger left hand. That's $8,500. Wrote him a check, and you know what I mean. It's like that cut and dry.
Oh, I should try that then. A pinky is nothing.
That's the
Amateur.
Wow, you wouldn't have to do this show.
All right, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. The Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
You're heavily into the Olympics.
love the Olympics.
You were a gymnast. Would that be the right term? Gymnast. Yeah, you were in school. You were gymnastics. What's the term?
To use my name and the Olympics in the same term, unless you're talking about the singing group from 1958.
Yeah, right. No, I was just curious. Just switching gears up because I know the last.
When I was in 7th grade, we were transfixed on. We were going to get into the Olympics as pole vaulters.
Okay.
Till we realized you had to be pretty good.
Well,
The last time you were here, you said it would be fun to do a little bit more of current events and just talking instead of you said how much.
Yeah,
So
what?
I'm
It's funny
trying to do
because I
that.
only watched a little bit of it last night, but I get such a headache because what they do, like the guys on the horse, on the pommel horse, I don't know if they call it the pommel
Yes.
horse anymore,
Yeah.
but like it's surreal.
Yeah.
Watching what they do is surreal. A guy coming out of a front flip into a double. A front flip is a tough thing. A double front flip.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I told Barbara, I said, I can't watch this. I mean, it's like, it's not human what they're doing.
Right.
getting the twisties.
They're so.
Well, all right. Yes, that's what I wanted to know because we were Sally and I were talking yesterday about
Yes.
that girl that stepped down.
That doesn't amaze me. What amazes me is that doesn't happen so much more often
Exactly.
because the amount of pressure and craziness, and the more pressure there gets to be, and the more pressure between countries, the younger these people get.
Right.
The gymnasts, I think, used to be like 24, 20.
Well, that's how old this girl is. She is 24.
But a lot of them are such. Yeah, well, she's been around a while, I guess. But she's phenomenal. But but meanwhile, the girl's got problems, and there's a 10-minute spot on every single show about her. It's like, Jesus Christ, cut her a break.
That's exactly my point. Do you talk about pressure? So now she's like you said, she's all over TV, so that's pressure. But she was facing pressure. what I personally would think would be less pressure just going into the Olympics doing her job.
I don't think it's the classic pressure. It's not what.
No, there's a lot more going on. But the worst
Sure.
thing is not just that it's being bandied about, everybody's talking about it. You get these jerks on the other channels saying, how dare she misrepresent her
Right.
country, and she's no patriot, and she's a lowlife, and
Yeah,
and
that's
you
stupid.
just want to
Yeah.
strangle these
Yes.
people. You know,
If you,
it's like a kid coming off the football field after he loses, and his father going, "What's wrong with you?"
right,
You know,
right.
if you watch her do that warm up,
Oh, there's video of it?
you can actually see the look on her face where she realizes she doesn't know where she is.
Oh, wow. I got to
in
look
the
for that.
air.
Okay.
And because I said something to because we were watching it live,
Mm-hmm.
and I said to my wife, something just went wrong.
Right, right.
and if you're doing the stuff that they're doing, and something
You
goes
have to
wrong,
be completely in
it's
control.
like somebody
yeah.
that's doing a spacewalk. If they forget their way back to the
Right.
ship, they're screwed. You
So
know?
she's already won golds. Like she was the last Olympics.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
I don't know
that's-
anything about it.
So that's why the pressure argument is sort of like and her giving up.
But
no,
she,
no.
truth be told, she sold those for drugs. But
They're worth a lot.
no, you got to cut them a break. It's
Yeah.
it's so difficult. You know.
So really stepping down is a patriotic move because
Yes.
it gives her team a better shot at winning the gold.
Exactly. Like
Right.
that's like it was, and that she stayed there. And if you're watching, she actually there's audio where she says, "If you guys need anything, just tell me. I'll go get it for you."
Right,
Like
right.
she-
No, by all yardsticks, she's a delightful, wonderful kid person, whatever you call it, and you just want to jump through. Yeah, I want
Yeah.
to jump through the TV enough times with these morons, but when they say horrible things about and then they go on and on about how could they make it about Black Lives Matter? This is the Olympics, blah blah blah. It's so somebody's paying attention.
Right, exactly.
God, why would you do that? So many people were watching.
Have you ever heard of answering your own question?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
but we're not going to get political,
All right. Any thoughts on Jackie Mason?
Mister. Do you know all my Jackie Mason stories, right?
I actually don't think we've talked about him much, to be honest with you.
Did I send you the album?
No.
I'll send it to both you guys. See, I produced an album for him in 1980 called
I didn't even know that.
Election 80.
Oh wow.
It was about Carter and Reagan running for president. And just like his Broadway shows, it was basically Jackie Mason doing Jackie Mason with a couple of jokes thrown in about the election. But what happened was he got in trouble with Ed Sullivan for, depending on who you talk to, giving the finger or being rude, whatever. And so Ed Sullivan ostracized him, which it's really getting your legs cut off in show business, because that doesn't mean you can't do the Ed Sullivan show.
Right.
That means you can't work with anybody, because if you work with them, Ed Sullivan won't let any of his acts on the show. So his tentacles were scary. So he was bumming around in Florida, and he ran into Richie Minervini just when we had started Comedy on Long Island. And Minervini befriended him and said, "Hey, listen, we're thinking of starting a comedy club on Long Island. Will you do the opening week?" So Mason came up, and we each got to introduce him, one night of the week, because he did the opening week. And it was so exciting. It's Jackie Mason. And then I was there doing an album, my second album, Going Ape. And you do an album? I said, yeah, I could produce an album. It would be fun to produce an album. He said, an album about the election. We could do an album about the election. You come record it. I said, I could record it, edit it, the whole thing. We do that. So I guess we must have recorded I don't remember, 2 nights, 2 shows. It's a long time ago. But I edited the whole thing and cut it up, and it's just delightful. And then I don't know whether the distributors or it fell to the wayside, like everything falls to the wayside.
Yeah.
It's not amazing things fall to the wayside. It's amazing anything ever makes it through.
Yeah.
But I always have had a copy of it. And it's amazing how when he popped up on Broadway, I send it to people, and then this had happened, and now I sent it to a bunch of people like, this is funny. It's like it was recorded yesterday.
Right.
But he, this is one of the chapters I don't think made it in my book, which there's so many great chapters that didn't make it. You guys come to my apartment, maybe we'll talk about it, we'll see what we could do for this election 80, we'll make this album. You come into my apartment. So he had an apartment on the second floor of an apartment building on Park Avenue, which is exciting in 1979 for us guys.
Yep.
So me and Richie Minervini and a guy who plays the accordion named Barry Mitchell, and somebody, I don't know who the other guy was. I think there was 4 of us. Maybe it was just the 3 of us.
Says something that you remember the accordion player. And not
He
this
got
guy.
sued. He got sued. No, he got a cease and desist from Woody Allen
Oh, wow.
because he's a little frumpy Jewish guy. If you Google him, he still tweets jokes every day, and he would get hired to go to parties and stand there, and people would be like, "I think that's Woody Allen." And people go and talk to him, and I don't think he'd ever say he was Woody Allen, but they assumed he was. So then he did a cease and desist, and on the front cover of the Post, they had a picture of the two of them. They look nothing alike, you know. But he was so thrilled, you know. So me and Woody, Jesus Christ, me and Barry and Richie are sitting on the floor, and Mason's sitting there in his apartment. What do you think? I got some ideas here. Have some coffee, okay? We'll do this album. We got the Carter. And I said something, an idea, a joke. You just thought of it? I said, yeah, we're sitting there writing jokes. That idea just now come from your head. That idea was in your head. You just, right now, you thought of that. I said, yeah. He said, it's genius. My friend, what you just said is genius. What he said was genius. And I'm sitting there going, I've been doing this 6 months, and Jackie Mason's calling me a genius. I can't believe that's such a fantastic joke. Fantastic. Do you hear his joke, Benvini? You hear the joke? Fantastic. So I'm all puffed up. And a few minutes later, he says, so we'll go to the deli, we'll get a sandwich. So we get up, and we go to the elevator. Now, this is an old Park Avenue apartment. So the elevator door opens, and then there's the lattice.
Yep.
And the elevator operator pulls back the lattice, and you go in, and he closes the lattice. He closes the door, closes the lattice, and brings us down to the first floor. We get to the first floor, and he opens the door and pushes back the lattice. Frickin' Mason turns to the elevator operator and says, You just brought us here from up there. You, my friend, are a genius. I was like, all right, so much for that. I guess it's a big club. It was so funny. So funny.
That's a great story. No, I didn't know any of that. I had no idea you worked with him.
And we first got it really going when the E-show got started going. We were already kind of famous because we were so big in New York. But the E-show also, now everybody knew. And, you know, I was doing a lot of stand-up. So a lot of people had an idea who I was. And we were, I don't know who I was with, but I was on the corner of, right across from where Wolfie's was, which was on 6th Avenue, right at 57th Street or 56th Street. And it's a pretty popular corner. I was standing there in the corner, and all of a sudden I'm standing next to Mason. He used to call, and everybody that ever asked him this after this, like they were crazy for saying, but he used to call me the comedian. It's you, hey, the comedian. You know, certainly not being complimentary. You, hey, the comedian. Hey, comedian. And so we're standing there talking on the corner of 57th and 6th. And a few people, you know, it's Jackie Mason and me, and we're chatting, you know, and anybody's, you know, and he's always, you know, hey, you know, he commands attention, you know. And a carload of guys stops at one of the avenues, wherever it was. And a couple of guys, they look out the window and go, Jackie! Hey, Jackie! And both of us turn and wave. And I'm telling you right now, they had no idea who he was. These were Stern Show fans.
Right.
Yeah.
I go, hey. And he went into a tirade. You know, fucking around. And in no time, there were 30 people standing. You've been shopping this 5 minutes. You think they stopped the car? They yelled to you. Here, I'm a comedian. I'm a famous. And the Sullivan Show. I've been famous all over the world. You think they are yelling at you when I'm a star?
Wow.
They were not yelling at you. It was just so cherry and so funny. And then the people. It was a scene from a movie, an absolute scene from a movie. And they might have been yelling at him, but he's like this tall, you know.
Right.
So he was and I used to run. Yeah, my apartment was right at 56th and 8th, and he was always in the area, you know, in one of the places, Holden Court. He'd sit and have a cup of coffee, and the whole world would sit around. And you know, there's a little place called the Applejack Hotel, the Applejack Diner, which is a little place on 55th and Broadway. God, I hope it's still there. But one time, there's like a two-door, you know, a double door, and I was at the outdoor table on the left, and it was the outdoor table on the right. It was like the two Jackies were like library lions, you know. It was just great. And we'd laugh, and he'd just berate, you know. I was with a good friend. We just went to see. I don't know. You guys are not young. You're too young, but me and this other guy were huge fans of Mad Magazine, and Dick DiBartolo is one of the great artists from it. And we went to his apartment, and it was like, you know, going to Mickey Mantle's for me, you know. And we went to get something to eat, and Mason was there at the Applejack Diner, and a friend of mine was doing a book with classic comics. And just because I knew him, I was going to be in the book. But everybody you could imagine was still alive. They were really great, close-up, black and white photos of I don't even know if he ever put the book out. And Mason would have been absolutely perfect in it. And this guy I was with, his father was the hugest Jackie Mason fan in the world, who had raised him to be a big fan because they loved this guy. And I said, Jackie, a friend of mine is doing a book with classic comics, and can I give him your number? Do you want to be? And he did 20 minutes. That prick, he's going to take a picture. I'm not going to get a penny. These guys, they take your picture. They make all this money. We get, and he went on and on. He was such an obnoxious piece of crap. And the guy said, he just destroyed my image of him forever. And here's the one, something me and my father had shared our whole lives.
Right.
And this guy just completely, you know.
Shattered.
But even when he's ranting and you know, but he used to get so mad. He you know, that Rodney, he made me crazy every time. People he say, Jackie, you're the funniest. There's nobody funnier. I think you're the funniest guy in the world. You're so funny. And then they say, Rodney, who do you like? Well, you know, and he'd name everybody but me. But I think it was a little competition thing because he was funnier than Rodney, and he knew it in a different vein. Because Jackie Mason wasn't about to be accepted by the everyman, you know. He's definitely an acquired taste, you know. But he was so interesting, and you know, and he just kept shrinking, and his lips kept getting bigger, and his hair kept turning into that shade of red that's not on the computer.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, right.
So I guess that Caddyshack thing then takes on a different.
Well, you know, I guess he was in the sequel, and I guess the sequel was horrible. I remember when he was hanging around at the East Side was right when Steve Martin made The Jerk. And he said, I mean, I guess he had a pretty decent role in Jerk. He was funny, but he said he had such a big role, and he was so funny and really knocked it out of the park, and they just cut it down and cut it down and cut it down, which I thought what really sucked until you realize after all these years, every single person you ever meet, I had such a huge part in that movie, but I got cut that, but, you know.
Yeah.
But who'll ever know, you know.
Well, you had a great story about Nelson last week. Is that something you could share now? 'Cause I'm assuming you wanted to save it for the show itself, but is that something you could do now?
Well, I didn't tell it at the.
You told it on the stage. You didn't tell it in here, and I was looking forward to hearing it.
The original group of us, there were like 7 of us. Me and Bob Nelson and Rob Bartlett, Richie Minervini, Jim Myers, Dave Hawthorne, and Bob Woods. And we called ourselves the Magnificent Seven. There were no Jews, no blacks. It was the last time there were 7 comedians that were all white losers from Long Island. And we'd go out and do gigs. and it'd be a smattering of us. Like, take any three at random, like these three or these four, whoever could make the gig. And we were doing a show called at a place called the Purple Onion. I think it was in Blue Point. It was like so long ago. God damn, it was like, I think in the beginning of 1979. I didn't even have an album yet. I don't even know if we had started Cinnamon yet. It was very early on. And this guy paid us $5 a piece, which sounds horrible, but believe it or not, to us, that was a paying gig.
Right.
Which it really sounds like you're making it up. Like I walked 5 miles to school, but it really was $5. But if you hosted the show, if you emceed the show, you got $20.
Oh, wow.
That was just the rule. And I think Minnabini wasn't even around. I think me and Myers put on the show. And what we did was we get paid and we drive home and we'd stop at a strip club. I thought it was the Carousel on Jericho Turnpike, but the other night Nelson said, I think it was a place in Smithtown. I was like, I don't know. God, forget it. I can't believe I made it home. And we'd stop at the strip club for one drink. And the rule was if you were the MC, you paid for the round. And the round was like about $25. So if you worked the gig, you got $5. But if you hosted the gig, you lost $5.
Right.
Because you had to, which we thought that was so fun. Right. So we stop and it's Nelson's birthday. I thought it was his 21st birthday. It might have been his 18th birthday. I keep meaning to ask him that. But he's so innocent. He's still so innocent. And in those days, I think Bartlett and Nelson, even Myers, they'd wear a tie. Not me, but they would wear a tie or a tie and jacket just because it seemed like that's what comedians did. And so Nelson's sitting there, and it's his birthday, and I told one of the girls. And I don't think they were strippers. I think they were like in bikinis dancing.
Right,
do you know what I mean? Like
go-go dancers.
The concept of a girl being naked or even topless on Long Island, I might be crazy, but, because I remember in Jersey, whoa, they take their clothes off? You got to be kidding, And so I said to the girl, it's his birthday. So she goes over to Nelson and she, plays with his hair and does whatever, to be sexy with him. And she undoes his shirt and takes off his tie and pulls off his tie nice and slow. And he takes the tie and puts it between her legs and flosses with the tie. And he's like, so embarrassed. And she goes to hand him back the tie, and totally unprovoked, he says to her, will you autograph it? And she put the tie to her nose and goes, and hands it back to him and says, I already did. Oh my
That's
God!
great.
It was one for the ages. I thought his head would explode. We died. It was just the greatest. I remember in my mind saying that story's going to last for quite a while. So it was so funny.
What are your thoughts on last week? Was it nice to see everybody, or bring back memories of any kind?
No, it was so great. And I just said to Bales, I said, look, I'm all in from the beginning. I said, but I'm not closing. I spent my whole life closing because I'm dirty and loud. I said that I don't want to go on. I thought there were going to be 12 guys, and I know everybody's going to go long. I said, I just want to go on early. I get some kind of treatment here. I'm the oldest one in the batch. He said, no sweat. And I wasn't pulling rank. I was pulling reverse rank.
Right, right.
And he said, no, Bartlett wants to go on last. And I said, oh, so then you fill in whoever. And then Minnabini got on a boat to go go work boats for 6 months because he takes a powder always, literally. And so we got the whole gang there, and Mulrooney I didn't think would show, but he showed up. And it was wonderful seeing her. The only bad spot of the night is they said that guy Billy J. Kramer was there, and nobody introduced me to him, and I'm sure I saw him without knowing who it was.
Oh, really? Nobody? No, yeah, I sat with him. Nobody brought him to you?
No, and I don't know what he looks like, and I think at some point somebody said, "Oh, the guy over there is a British comedian or something," and I wasn't paying attention. We're all in the green room, everybody's hanging around, farting around, and I've never even seen a picture, so I don't know.
Oh, wow!
I don't even have any concept of. Does he look like Bill Haley? Does he look like Paul McCartney? Does he look like Peter?
He's been on our show twice. He's been on our show twice, and about maybe 3 months ago. We have a mutual friend. That's how I ended up meeting him.
Well, I was on the Mark Hudson show at the Iridium with him, and I saw him with his band, but I don't remember. You're getting ready to do your jokes. You're not paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah, that's a guy I'd like to talk to, Mark Hudson.
I certainly was not. I just hope the guy, not that he even knew I was there, but I would hope that he didn't think I was being rude by not introducing myself. But I didn't know till after the fact that he.
Well, that's the thing. So he's been here, and our mutual friend contacted me about 3 months ago and said he wants to come on again. And then I contacted you because remember I was going to bring you guys in here at the same time.
Me and him and Liberty, supposedly.
Right. So I go up to him at the show that night last week, and we were sitting at the same table, and I go up to him and I say,
"Oh, you were at
the same table."
Oh, for the benefit.
Yeah, last week.
Oh.
So I go up to him, I shake his hand, I go, "Hi, Billy, how you doing? Good to see you again." I swear to God, he looked at me like he had no clue who I was. So the show's over, and I went to him again. I said, "Billy," I said, "I'm Tony. I'm the guy who runs the studio in the back." Same thing. He's just like that. Doesn't even speak. Doesn't even say hello. Just kind of looks. I was like, all right, I'm done. And he didn't even come back. He left.
How many
out the back door,
decades he's had? "Hi, I'm Tony."
Well, yeah,
no,
but it was,
no reflection on you.
But it was just,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I did think, and no disrespect to the man, but you got to think who knows who he is now. And again, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's the truth.
No, right. So
I really, and it wasn't that long ago he was
my radio
here.
show,
Right.
He's probably not doing a radio show every morning,
And supposedly he wanted to come back. He's in the building that we do the show in.
Right.
So I did expect him to at least. I
I
recognize
did hear
you
him
from
say
somewhere,
to somebody, "The guy Tony with one leg is a prick."
Right.
I
Please
did
get
hear
me away
that.
from him.
Fuck that guy.
I did hear that. Did he laugh at the show?
Yes. Okay. Yes, he did seem to be enjoying himself
That's all that matters. Was he facing the right way?
most of the time. Most of the time.
So that's good. So, Billy Ray Cyrus, wherever you are, I hope to meet you one fine day. That's all.
And Billy
And
J.
you know
Kramer
who,
too.
what's her face is good friends with him.
Miley Cyrus.
Donna Drake.
Donna Drake. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's why we were all at the same table. Donna kind of.
Oh, she was at the table too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She was nice. Me
Donna's
and Bales
great.
went over and did an interview with her for the
Right.
to benefit the benefit.
Right. Yeah, Donna's great. She's a close friend, actually.
I don't think I told my benefit story yet. It wouldn't have been appropriate.
Oh yeah, that story wouldn't. Yeah, she's G, but she's like
No,
rated G.
not an off-color story, but I think it
Oh, I thought you were talking about the story just now with the stripper.
because at the fear of doing a benefit, and I had no idea the nature of where Bob was at, like how ill. You don't call somebody up and say, well, how ill is somebody?
Right,
or
right.
How well is he? It's nobody's business. But there was a guy named Mario. His name was Mario. He played in a band called Hot Soup, and they were so great. So long ago, there was a place called McDimples across from, not Smith and Wolanski's, whatever the place is at the bottom of the road there in Roslyn. I just have a mental block. Forget about Prevagen. I can never think of the name of that goddamn restaurant. Steak restaurant.
Oh, right there in the shopping center?
No, at the bottom of the hill on 25A going down.
By Old Northern Boulevard over there.
It's something and something.
Yeah.
And it was a place called McDimples. And Mario was so great. His band called Hot Soup. And then he started playing by himself. And he became MC Oso. And he played in the same places where me and my sister's now husband, Kevin, was in Savoy Truffle. And me and Bates were in the Off-Hour Rockers. And we all played in the same little dives. And Mario wound up becoming our roommate for a little while. He's just another crazy drunk musician like the rest of us. A great guy. And he's Cuban. And interesting. And wild and horny and great. And so he gets very sick. And they come to me and they say, listen, we need to have a benefit for Mario at the brokerage. He's not doing well. He has no money. I said, all right, because at the time I was red hot. So I'm selling out if I sneeze.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll headline the benefit at the brokerage. And we sell out right away. And from the time they put the benefit together, and it came together pretty quick, he passed away.
Oof.
So we got to do the benefit anyway, and they're going to use the money to bury him, So he's Cuban-American. He has a Cuban-American girlfriend, beautiful little woman. And his best friend Mike put the benefit together, and he's Cuban-American. And from the time I first saw him, Mario had a Guild semi-hollow body, red, wooden red, beautiful guitar, polished like the day it came off the shelf. And just pride and joy, beautiful. And I got to do this benefit. And you can't go out and say, well, it's a shame somebody died. Why'd the chicken cross the road? That just doesn't fly. So I had to go out. Same thing happened to me when I did a show after 9/11. You have to do your show and then address it. So I do the, an hour worth of dick jokes and kill these people. And I said, listen, now you know why we're here. Thank you all for coming out. And this is Mario's girlfriend, Janina, whatever her name is. And she comes up, and you hear a pin drop, and this is his friends and the musicians that have played with him on the South Shore for decades and decades, and he knew everybody, and I was so sad. And Mario would have been so touched that you're all here, and he loved you each so much. And Mike, thanks for putting this together. And it's getting more tense and more tense, beautifully tense.
Right.
And she turns around, opens up the guitar case, and takes out this stunning red wooden Guild hollow body, gorgeous guitar, and kind of holds it so the crowd can see it. And she says, Mike, come here. And Mike comes over and she says, I know Mario would want you to have this. And then she spoke in Spanish, or I don't think there's Cuban, I think Spanish. Right. And she said, and hand him the guitar. And I leaned over and said it to the microphone. She just said, I think you could get about $250 for it. And the place went batshit. But it was just such a pregnant situation.
Right.
And,
pop the bubble.
And everybody loved everybody,
right.
and it was just so sweet. But that was one of the, that was one of those things where the devil runs into your head and like, yes, no, you, fucking boom,
Yeah.
Well, the same thing last week. Bob came on the stage at the end of the show, gave a really nice speech, and I thought it was amazing to me. He was having trouble getting through it. She was breaking up, and I think it was it Bartlett or Cola said to him, say whatever you want to say, but in your Epi Epperman voice. And he didn't miss a beat, man. He was just doing it. He didn't have to stop and to compose himself at all. He was
needed
just doing
a way
it.
out.
It was
right?
amazing.
And he did it, and it was just right. Because
Magical.
everybody was worried that he went on a while, which was fine, but everybody was worried, like, what are we going to do? Because sometimes people circle around
Right.
and start on the loop again, which he didn't do. And it wound up being just right.
Yeah.
But everybody was a little concerned that it was going to go too long, but it didn't. And it was an incredible success on every level, and everybody was so happy.
And go to the Govs Comedy Club Radio Facebook page, YouTube channel. Excuse me. We posted a bunch of videos yesterday. Bartlett and Nelson came in that night, sat on the couch. They did like basically 45 minutes of their bit, of all their bits together.
Oh, that's
and
right,
we
man.
posted all the videos yesterday afternoon. Yeah, you actually show up in some of them. It was just that was just an amazing time.
It was great. It was it was a nice time. It was a nice callback to a nice era. God, that was.
Yeah.
That's when God created heaven and earth. That's 42 years ago. Man, oh man, oh man. And I said the same thing that night that I said the night I met him. He walked out and on stage and he picked up a candle and he walked around the periphery of the room carrying a candle, mumbling to himself, and then put it down and then did whatever he did. And I just remember saying to myself, that guy is really talented. And that guy is really weird. And I maintain that to this day.
He actually said that. He actually talked about on the couch here. He called himself a loner, and he said, "I don't really, I lose touch with a lot of these guys." He goes, "I don't really talk to them much. I keep to myself." He goes, "And I know that's wrong, especially in the line of work that I'm in." He goes, "But that's who I am." It was really something to see him.
He didn't do a lot of one-on-one, and I distinctly remember, and I don't know if I've ever even shared this with anybody. At the Purple Onion one night, we were just getting to know each other. He came up to me and said, "I just want to tell you something. I think you're very talented, and I want to make sure I told you that before you kill yourself, drinking and driving."
Oh,
and
wow.
he wasn't being mean. He was being absolutely,
Right.
I
Being
want
your
to get
friend.
this in.
Right. Wow.
I said, well, take that. I'm going to drive carefully. Great night.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Do you ever look on the internet because like
8 inches.
Oh, all right, thanks. Call Jackie and get the 8 inches. You get a lot of the Stern fans and like the people that like the F Jackie and all that garbage. Do you ever look on the internet to see like what they say or what they do or?
No, because it would be, I get I tweet jokes every day, and I'll put something on my Facebook page. Sometimes I put stuff on Facebook once in a blue moon, but like I find a really nice old picture or something. But no matter what I do, there's X amount of, I really miss you on the show, and X amount of, you're such a loser, and X amount of, I'm glad your cat is dead. So it's you can't win for losing. It's like 20 years later, it never slowed up, which is actually flattering. Somebody's going out of their way to insult my dead cat 20 years ago.
Right.
But even though they might have heard it yesterday, but it's an interesting phenomenon, and I got a couple things. I'm thinking about putting out a book of the notes that I have that are signed that are so funny. And I just did this kid's book, and this guy put it together so easily. And I'm like, that's not finding a publisher and getting an advance, blah, 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 and I'm sure if I do anything like that, it'll be, well, when are you going to stop milking the whole Howard Stern thing? I said, all right, well, when's he going to stop milking the whole Jackie jokes that he wrote?
Agreed. Yeah.
And, which is kind of bull crap, but it's, but if I ever did anything, I'd love nothing better than for them to raise a stink,
Right.
Yeah,
I have $400 billion. How dare he make 30 cents,
Right.
But I don't, I don't really care about any of that. I really would love to know, people can't believe that Howard and Robin and Gary and Fred wouldn't do my documentary. People just can't believe that. And I'm sure there's going to be X amount of them that are going to say, I can't believe you left them out of your documentary.
Yeah, of
They
course.
were so important to you. Why would you leave them out? But, that's what you just deal with.
Right.
But, yeah, and so many people say, I saw this, I saw that. And the more I hear, it's almost like every move we made for all those years is on the internet somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Like all the time people say, oh, this happened, that happened. The stuff they hear in the Stern Show is the stuff that he plays over and over and over. The thing about me getting the free room in Florida, which
Yeah.
I paid for,
Right.
that same old thing. Like, I long ago stopped typing to people, that's not true. I paid for it. That's not true. I didn't know Rodney Dangerfield money.
Right.
It's funny you
buy
watch
my
it-
book or go away.
You watch that because that's on YouTube. That whole part, that whole section, and it. Personally, I don't know if because I'm biased now because we're friends now or not, but it doesn't seem to have held up in my opinion. You look at it now, it looks like a bunch of people ganging up on the poor guy. It doesn't.
On me, you mean?
Yeah, you.
Well,
yeah.
But that's all. That's all it is. That's all it
Yeah.
was.
I will
Yeah,
say,
it was
But they loved it, and that's why I see someone in the street, they instantly think that they can be Howard.
Right.
They can
Right.
insult me or do what they want or say what they want because he kind of like created that space.
Right.
It's like, look at you, Jackie, you loser. What have you done? I said, nothing. I live a comfortable life
Right.
in my house on the water. Well, I'll be right with you. I got to go home to my trailer. Like, shut up.
But that's
But that's that. You don't go eye to eye. Like who cares?
that seems to be the format of the show, though. Like it's all of them turning and ganging up and
Fighting.
whatnot. Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
what it was,
conflict.
and that was fine,
Right.
Because I could handle myself.
Right.
I always
Yeah.
tell people it was like Bruce Lee, or whatever's the guy's. The guy stand in the middle and 40 people come at him with swords.
Yeah, Bruce
from
Lee,
the,
Jackie
like,
Chan,
Yeah, you
John
try
Claude.
and fend them
Yeah.
away, and
Andy Plagenos, all
sometimes
those
you
guys.
do better than others. But nobody. Like Fred would never pick on anybody but me, and vice versa, because me and Fred were matched, and we could give each other crap. But nobody could go head to head with Fred, you know. And if they ganged up on him, he would have jumped off a building. But it was so fun because just like anything, like I was in a 2-man group, and you know I'm on stage, and all of a sudden if I forget what I want to do, you just turn your head to the other guy,
Right.
and the attention sways, you know, like. They'll be going at me full tilt, and I'm like, "What am I going to do?" I said, "Look at Gary's ass," and you know,
Right.
the whole thing switched, you know, and it was always fun, you know. And half the time I'm giving Howard something horrible to say about me in the middle of it, and
Right. Yeah.
nobody would ever know that, you know.
Right.
Even with the E Show, nobody ever. If there was ever actual videotape of the actual shows, that would be so priceless. But it would never happen because it would have showed that everybody, you know.
I feel like when I was, I would watch the E! Show, and it was great because it was like being back home because I was in the Air Force at the time and all over the place, and so it was nice to get to see all you guys and listen. I used to think that I would see little pieces of paper like being thrown across the room.
I don't know, you know. I tell the same stories over and over, but you know, I actually don't get sick of it. The E! Show was my concept. And the reason was because they gave us a show on Channel 9 in like 1988, I think it was.
I used to
Yeah.
I
watch
say
it.
us. They gave Howard a show.
Right.
I always say us and we. Shoot me. So, and that's when I went to the wall about being called head writer, which they always gave me a hard time for, but, you know,
Right.
it was deserved. You know, they wanted to make me and Fred, you know, producers, you know, or assistant producers, or production assistant. No, we're not. They want to make us segment producers. We're not segment producers. We're writers. Well, it's not a writers' show. It's not. We don't have the Writers Guild. Well, I don't care. Then you don't have me. I'm not doing the show unless I'm a writer. And I got so upset. I said, you know what? I'm the last one to decide what Howard's going to read. It goes through me. So I'm the head writer. So they broke my balls for years. I'm the head writer. I'm the head writer. But I was, and I'll take it all day, you know. So we're doing this show. We're doing a radio show from 6 to 11, 6 to 10, 6 to 10, whatever, 5 days a week. And we get this TV show in Secaucus, New Jersey. And on Monday, we have a blank piece of paper, and we need a 1-hour TV show in the can, taped by Friday night.
Right.
Now, the radio show is it's 99% Howard's work, but it's a tall order just to get there and be sitting in that seat. And then we get in the car and go to Secaucus, or we have a meeting after the show. And at the end of a year, everybody loved the show, and it was, you know, the whole cutting edge, you know, reinventing television, because it was so bad because we had no budget. So there was no second guessing. Right. So it was so off the cuff, but that's the way it was because you couldn't redo anything. So you know, guests would I'm doing what show? Cancel me, you know. And at the end of the first season, whatever I was making, the TV show doubled what I was making. If I was making $3,000, I was making $6,000. It was like, it was nice. But at the end of the season, we were all kind of like a little bit up in the air about whether we really wanted to get renewed because it was killing everybody.
Right.
And I said to Howard, and we were in commercial, and I said, why are we breaking our balls going to Secaucus? We have all the TV show we could ever need right here. You're there, Robin's there, Fred's there, I'm here, Gary and John are in and out, the guests are sitting here. We got more than enough television show for anybody right in this room. Hey, Robin, Jackie thinks we got a TV show right here. And I have no proof of it. I'm almost positive that they started breaking my balls when we came back on the air.
Right.
Because it was all about, I was lazy. I didn't want to do any work. I don't want to go. And it wasn't even they didn't have my voice yet. I don't want to go to, why do we got to go all the way to Jersey? I don't want to work hard. I don't want to do more. I want to just stay here and use it. You know, it was deriding me for trying to get out of going to work in Secaucus but still make the money. And a week later, a month later, however many months later, we're in the limo to go to a screening. And we always had to go in a limo, even if it was 2 blocks away at HBO, because Howard couldn't walk on the street. He's too famous. Even in 1988
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
in New York, So me and Gary and Robin and Fred, we would all be packed into this limo. And one day Howard just said, tomorrow we're bringing some cameras into the radio studio. And he looked me right in the friggin' eye, and said, I've always wanted to videotape the radio show. And I was like, didn't say anything. Years later, I got drunk with Fred and said, Fred, I'll never hold you to this, but when Howard said he was going to videotape the radio show, do you remember that I had suggested that? And he goes, oh, yeah, when he said that, I almost said, oh, we're going to do Jackie's idea? I said, well, that just would have changed my life if you had said it.
Right.
Because it was such an obvious, stupid concept to just, but that's all reality shows are, but they didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Stick a camera somewhere. But they hailed it like it was the second invention of sliced bread. But when I said it, I almost said it tongue-in-cheek because I knew there was no way you could put cameras in that little room. At the time, I'm writing notes and flipping them onto the open loose leaf, and he's looking this way, and the loose leaves are open. There's one here and one there, and I'm literally writing on the paper and flipping it over, and there was no way you could have put a camera in there and not seen that.
Right.
It would have been like the magician putting the swords in the body and missing the girl, right?
Right.
And they came up with putting the little bin there with a little lipstick camera, and I'm writing the notes and putting them in the bin, and he's got the Jackie Martling show. He's got a video, a computer monitor right there, or a TV monitor, and everything I wrote was right there. Or what Fred didn't, and that's how that came about. So people never saw me. When we started in San Francisco, we started on the E! Show in San Francisco before the radio show got there. Okay? So this girl I wound up being, she was my girlfriend for a couple of years. This great girl, she was very smart, and she became a big fan of the show, and she's watching the E! Show, and she's like, who's that guy with his head down? Because, when we moved to the new studio, it was like, oh, we're all going to be superstars, and all of a sudden they just built a wall in front of me so you could hardly see me.
Right.
And you see that my head was down, and you couldn't see anything. But then when the radio show started, this girl, Victoria Miller, she worked with Sharpies. And if you work with Sharpies, you know that you write with a Sharpie for 10 minutes, it starts to squeak.
Right.
Because the alcohol dries up. So she starts hearing the unmistakable squeak of a Sharpie, and all of a sudden she's like, wait. All of a sudden there's a pause, and he says something funny. And then at some point she hears the squeak of the Sharpie, and there's the pause. He says something funny. She's that guy with his head down. He's writing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't sound like rocket science, but if you didn't know it, you didn't know it. And then she wrote to me, and I was like, well, let me take a shot. I have no idea when she shows up in New York, and she's a beautiful redhead. It was incredible.
Right.
But and that's how the whole thing came to be, and nobody ever knew. And to this day, there's people that don't know. And he had another monitor on the left-hand side, and whenever there was a guest, he'd put on dark glasses. But that was like that's him.
Right.
He's evil and mysterious, and he's the devil, so he puts on these dark glasses to interview these girls and guys. But the reason he put on dark glasses, so when he's talking to them, his eyes could dart over and look at what I wrote,
Right.
and they'd have no idea.
Right.
And once people know that and they watch the old E! shows, they're like, son of a bitch. It's like knowing that Carson panned the cue cards, But if you don't know it, you wouldn't know it. But once you know that, you can almost tell where he's in the monologue by
Right.
where in the linear line is.
Well, yeah, and that was even towards the end with Bob Hope. How many times was he made fun of on his specials? Because you can see his eyes. You can see that he was reading.
Right. Or he literally looking for.
Yeah. Right.
We used to make fun. We used to say at some point they had to skywrite his lines. So funny. But it was pretty wacky. It was pretty wacky, and so nobody ever saw it. And they come around with the cameras for the CBS show and everything, but you never saw what was actually going on.
Right.
And that's why it was very weird, because you never hardly saw much of Billy, because everything had to go through Howard. Like if I was writing stuff for Wood Yee, that when Steve the engineer, the shaky old engineer, came in, if I wrote stuff for him to say as Wood Yee, Woody Allen, I'd have to hand it to Howard, and he'd read it and then give it to him, which slowed everything down, but he wanted to stay in the loop. But when Billy was behind me and Fred, there was no time
Right.
for Howard to okay it. So we're just writing stuff and putting it down, and you had to be careful, because if you wrote the worst thing in the world, Billy's going to read it.
Right.
So it wasn't getting tempered. It wasn't getting tampered, whatever.
Tamped down.
And Billy'd be sitting there and be like 8 pieces of paper in front of him, and he'd be going wild. And I'd give anything to have videotape of that, because if people saw the guts of that operation, I do get talking about this, and people say, "Why don't you shut up about the Stern Show?"
No, I asked.
I also asked. Yeah.
He used to. Ted Kennedy's wife got hit drunk and driving a couple times, or something, or she got thrown in jail. But she was always screwing up, and Ted Kennedy had already done his share of screwing up.
Yeah.
And so Howard all of a sudden beat Ted Kennedy, and I don't know whether he used the megaphone or just talk, whatever he'd do. He'd, "Oh, Joni," and me and Fred would just start writing, and he'd go, "Era, Joni, era," and he'd say "era" so many times, which made him just sound like this brilliant comic, because he's just repeating and repeating, which is like beating it to death, like Abbott and Costello or Gilbert or somebody. But he was going era to give us time to write something for him to say.
Right.
So he's going era, Joni, era, and we're right, and boom,
And in his head, he's probably freaking out. Somebody pass me a line quick.
Jesus Christ, So funny. The same thing with Elvis, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, ladies and gentlemen. It was classic.
Is it weird when you come to an event like Nelson last week and there's guys that worked on Howard here? Is that weird for you?
You mean Sal?
Sal was here, and then that other guy, a producer, Tim something?
Oh, no, I know Sabian. Sabian was the
nice guy. He was sitting with us, too.
He was the program director at WYSP in Philadelphia when we started there. And he got in cahoots with the whole Stern Show organization, and I'm not sure how involved he was, because I left long before they went to satellite.
Right.
I left in 2001, and I think Tim came aboard with them when they got, when they left K-Rock, they left the syndication. I don't know if Tim was still at YSP or not, but he was hired to be like the manager or general manager or whatever of the Stern channels, but that wasn't until 2005. I've known him for 40 years.
Yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, he's a character, and the stories about him go on and on and on. But and Sal was a guy who used to call up and call Gary a horse-toothed jackass on the phone.
Right.
That was always fun. And he's a really funny guy.
Yeah, he is a funny guy.
I mean, people say, "Oh, is it weird to see Artie?" And like Artie wasn't part of the show till 10 months after I left, 8 months after I left. So that
Right.
what are you gonna do?
Right. Well, all right. So, I the reason I asked about if you look at the internet, because like I mentioned, I was looking around yesterday a little bit, and I came across. Well, first off, I don't know if you've seen this thing. There's this. I all I did was Google Jackie Martling and to see what comes up, And have
That's
you
a little
seen?
frightening.
Well, yeah, a little bit. There was this one thing. There's this one website called where they tell you what celebrities are like their net worth.
Oh yeah.
Have you
yeah.
seen this?
Oh, that's been around for
Yeah.
10 years. 1 minute I'm worth $5 million. The next minute I'm worth 200,000.
Well, yeah, that's what it said. As of April 2021, it said 5 million. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because, and I'm going to see if I can.
The
get
only
it.
thing that
Look at
really
this.
bothers me about the internet is you know what? I don't even want to say it out loud because somebody will go do it.
But turn around. This is what bothered me. This has got to be the worst drawing I've ever seen of you. It's awful. I was like, who? It looks like Lauren Michaels or something. Like I was like, what the hell?
Listen, of all the
Lauren
crap
Green,
that's
I
on
meant,
the
Lauren.
internet about me, that's the last place. And if anything, it makes me look younger. So
No, I thought it was awful.
they have everybody's. People just take a stab at what I mean, I'm sure there's places they could look up and find out or not find.
Right.
So I saw that drawing. I was like, oh, that's just got me thinking a little bit. So
Well, Tony.
so I started
they
looking around a
didn't-
little
they
bit, and I
didn't-
found this piece of shit.
Now that's an actual picture. It's a doctored up picture.
Right? Yeah.
What really bothers me is a real lot of Jackie is dead goes around.
Oh, I've
Really?
never. I've
and
never
then
seen
Mason passed away, and everybody's like, "Oh, he was so good on the Stern Show." I mean, oh no, that's not the Jackie that's dead. He's not dead yet. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I wonder what Jackie Mason would say, knowing that you were getting confused for him dying.
Right.
If he acted that way on Sixth
It wasn't.
Avenue.
It wasn't him. It was me. Nobody even knows.
Obviously me.
He's not even
It's
a
obvious.
Jew. It was a Jew that died.
How could you make that mistake? It's a big deal I died.
That's me.
Yeah. They took all the shit out of him and buried him in his shoebox.
But all right. But now, also speaking of cartoons, you got any more of those? You were sending me some of those cartoons for a while. Those are great.
There were a total of 4 of them.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I think you sent me 4.
Did you
I
get
think.
the 38, 39?
Yes. Yes.
In fact, I just did another Feldman yesterday for the first time. And I sent that to you guys?
Yeah, we played it yesterday.
And I told the guy, I said, "Listen, I'm not trying to break your balls, John, but if you do it," I said, I really love the dinosaur joke about the age of and it's so clean about the age of the dinosaur.
No, go ahead.
Do you remember that?
No.
Guy's at a museum and he says to the guard, "How old are those dinosaur bones?" And the guard says, 66 million and 4 years and 6 months. And the guy says, "How can you be that precise?" He says, "Well, when I started working here, they were 66 million years old, and I've been here 4.5 years." Which is just funny. Just stupidly funny.
I'm still telling people the Stokowski joke. The Polish guy who goes to the sporting event, and somebody keeps yelling Stokowski.
Oh, God.
I'm you told me you said that here
Yeah.
recently, and I'm
I
still telling
never
people
told that to Feldman because you got to be watching. I told you, told me that. Not Bill Murray.
Brian
Brian-
Conan Doyle? Murray?
Brian something Murray. What's his
Brian
name?
Doyle Murray.
Brian
I always
Doyle.
throw the Conan Doyle because Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Brian Doyle Murray. I got one you haven't heard.
All right, let me see. Oh, you know what? Here's a random question. How did you learn to play guitar? I just have random questions down here, so I'm just going through them.
When we were in, I think, 6th grade, unbeknownst to me, I went to elementary school at the Walnut Avenue School in East Norwich, this little tiny school in this little tiny hamlet where I grew up. And one of the people in my class was this guy, Chris Bates. And he was in my class all the way through the end of high school, and he was the one all the way up to my very last band. We were in bands and everything. So I guess it was 6th grade. He went into Sunday school, and when we were kids, the the Ozzie and Harriet was on. And at the end of Ozzie and Harriet, starting around the mid '50s, Ricky Nelson would play a song, and he had a band, and they go down in the basement, and Ricky and his band would play a song, and then the song would go to #1 in the country. It was the first MTV.
Yeah, true.
So Bates goes to Sunday school. Some pretty little girl says to him, "You know who's really, I don't think even cool might not even been a word yet. You know who's really neat?
Right.
Ricky Nelson. He plays the guitar." So Bates goes, and the first thing he does, he looks up and finds a guitar teacher and signs up for guitar lessons. The girl never came back to Sunday school. He never saw her again. Had no
that's
idea
crazy.
who it was. So he starts taking lessons, and here we are, just starting high school. And me and him were kind of friends, but not that close of friends. You know, he lived a stone's throw away, but, you know, you go in and out with your little local guys.
Right.
And I said, "You play the guitar, don't you?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You know, I could teach you 4 chords. We could have a band." Meaning C, A minor, F, G, which was every old rock and roll song. It's a
right.
1, 6 minor, 4, 5. You know, you learn.
You can learn any
on.
Chuck Berry song at that point, right?
And I said, "Okay." And it's too long a story. My uncle dragged his guitar out of the cellar. That didn't work. My father finally broke down and bought me a little Stella. And then eventually me and Bates both had electric guitars that we played plugged into a Y connector that plugged into the RCA jack of a clock radio. That was our amplifier. 2
That's
RCA
awesome.
jacks going into.
That's
And then I
fantastic.
said, "We got to get an amplifier." I said, "Will that make us sound better?" He said, "You're not going to believe it." And we went to Lafayette Radio and got a Lafayette amplifier. And just slowly but surely, you know, and almost right away we had a band. He said, "I got an idea for the name of our band, the Sonics." Sounds good. And right away, we were playing, and we were horrible, just the 2 of us. And our first drummer had a pad and drumsticks. And then we dumped him for a drummer that had drums.
Right, yeah.
And for the longest time, all the way through high school, we never had a bass player, 2 guitars and a drum. And we weren't any good, and everybody loved us, and we were so fun.
Beatles did the same thing. That's how they got their first electric instruments. The one guy didn't know how to play, but he had the money. They talked him into buying the instruments.
We were playing for 2 years when the Beatles hit. We were playing oldies. We called them oldies, but they weren't that old.
They were 10 years, yeah.
No, 10 years. We're playing Dion and the Bellmonts. Dion and
6
the
months.
Bellmonts came out in 58 and 59. And here we're playing Teenager in Love, saying here's an oldie.
Right.
And, you know, we were playing instrumentals. And at one point I said to Bates, "The only way we're going to get anywhere is if we sing." He said, "We can't sing." I said, "Doesn't matter. We got to sing." And that's Lennon McCartney had that same conversation.
That's right, yeah.
We have to sing. We can't sing. It doesn't matter. We're not going to get it, you know. I'm not comparing us to Lennon, but it was, you know, it was you know, we're not going to hire a singer. We're going to do, and poor
logic.
Bates, I had to sing lead because I have no talent. I can't sing harmony. So he had to sing the harmony, so I got to be lead singer. Everything is by default.
Right, right.
You know, this you can be in a band. You got a car.
Right.
You know, it's that simple. And oh God, the first time we played a thing in Center Reach, a big, huge battle of the bands. And at the end of the thing, it was to raise money for a girl's heart operation. And it was the Lions Club of Center Reach. And the Chiffons was supposed to be there, but of course they didn't show.
Right.
And Clay Cole was the MC, who was like a Channel 5 version of, you know, Mary the K or whatever at the time, and Cousin Brucey, etc. And there were a couple of really good groups. And after the show, everybody had a lunchroom table in the hallway, and everybody's lined up to get their autographs. And we weren't there because after the show, we had to leave because the drummer had to get the car home.
Right.
Our opportunity to sign autographs.
Right.
And we had to leave because he had to get the home.
Well, Center Reach must have been like the end of the world back then,
Oh,
right?
my God. And that's another thing. I got to call Bates and ask him why it was a connection with, there was a guy from, it was funny because the guy was from Suffolk County and he was well-known character. And years later, he became a very well-known folk singer out there named Louis. But Louis and this other guy, Louis played drums and the other guy played bass. And Bates and Cicerelli, our drummer, and they were both playing guitar. And they said, we want you to be in it. But there was no room. So I just sang.
Oh, wow.
And we weren't the Sonics. We were the Malibus, a surf group from England. And we faked that we had English accents. It always sounds like I'm making up as I go along. But I sang Tossing and Turning. We did 2 songs. Couldn't sleep at all last night. Just thinking about you. And I'm standing there holding the old Shure SM55 mic. And Cicerelli's playing guitar, and Bates is playing guitar, and Fortunato's playing bass, and Louis, and he was Lou Stevens. I'm sure if you Google him, a big fat guy with a big, you know who he was? He was the Dr. John of Long Island.
Okay.
You know Dr. John?
Yeah, right place, wrong time. Yeah.
Yeah. And we went, and I guess they must have got the gig, and Cicerelli must have probably knew one of them from working at Lafayette. That's how this crap worked. We certainly didn't hang in Center Reach.
Now you're still in touch with Bates, yes?
Yeah, I just called him. He's the guy I'm trying to find out about Lutwin.
So what do you think? Like maybe
He
a few
faked
weeks.
having an English accent. He met
That's
a girl.
awesome.
He went to dinner at her parents' house.
With the accent the whole
Faking
time.
that he had an
That's
accent.
hilarious.
And I had a brand new Stratocaster, and we're backstage, and somebody said, "How much did that guitar cost?" And I said, 200 francs. And somebody goes, he's kidding. He means pounds. And I'm like, yeah. like the Bowery Boys. Yeah, that's it.
right.
Pounds, that's it.
Sure.
It sounds, and then I didn't make up one word of that. I swear to God. So, and I worked at Pipe and Rock Club
Oh, in Westbury?
in Pipe and Rock Club on the North Shore of Long Island. The
There
most
one in
blue
Westbury.
blood of all the clubs in the world, where Cole Porter broke his leg playing polo.
Oh.
And there was an Irish waiter. Jack, have you heard of the Beatles? They can't even get out of the airplane. They're so crowded that people love them so much, because he knew I played in the band. He's like sticking it to me.
Right.
You're a busboy. These guys can't even get off the plane. Like, fuck you. Jimmy Hart, that queer. They were all queers. They were all queers. All the waiters were queers. Oh, it's just, I loved them all, like brothers.
What are the chances of getting you and Bates in here with your guitars?
If he ever comes up.
Oh, he's he's in Florida or something?
I was I was off the Stern show because I was holding out for more money, and my ex-wife Nancy was in a movie, and there was a lot of people in this movie. It's called Rules for Men. You could find it anywhere, and Otto and George was in it, and Jim Florentine, and the girl who was on Z100 at the time, the real Kramer was on there, the Otto and George, Frank Gorshin, Artie Lang. It goes on and on and on. And they found out that she said my husband, or I might not have been her husband yet. My husband is Jackie Marley. He's not working right now. Oh, we'll put him in the movie. So I'm in the movie, and the opening scene is a midget, a little person, with a cowboy hat and a naked girl under the sheets. And this guy, Bobby Capelli, says, listen, I wanted the opening song, I wanted to be Let's Get Drunk and Screw. Mm-hmm. I said, well, you're out of your mind. I said, that song is going to cost you more than the budget of your movie. He said, well, then why don't you sing it? And I said, because that'll cost you almost as much. I said, but I have a beer drinking song. In fact, I'll go into the studio. The only recording I have is live at my father's place, which is, rough and tumble. But I'll go in the studio at my own expense and record it if you'll put it in a movie. And he said, well, sure. And by the grace of God, Bates was coming up from Florida for some reason. So me and him went in and recorded the song that we had played the entire 70s, and we sing in tandem like the Everly Brothers. I mean, he follows me so well. A lot of our songs are very fast-paced, boom, 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 but with right in alignment. And it's called Another Glass of Fool's Gold, and it's a great song, and it was the opener of that movie. But we pick up the guitars, and I mean, I can hardly play anymore, but so many of those songs we sang so many times. We listened to the 60s or the 50s in Sirius XM in the car, and a song comes on, and every 2 minutes I turn to Barbara and go, it's another Sonic special.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And he's great. To this day, he's out with his iPad with the songs with the backup and the drum machine. It's probably incorporated now on the iPad.
Oh yeah, sure.
And his amplifier, and he plays the backup songs and sings at, bars and happy hours, and he sings Sam Cooke songs. He's a great singer. People love him. He doesn't make a fortune, but he's doing better than me. I mean, he's singing and playing. I gave up the guitar because I wasn't any good. My ex-wife used to say, when you make money, it's going to be with your songs. And I keep saying, yeah, someday I'll get back to that.
I think, you have the one album of your music, the Happy Endings album. I love that album. I think it's fantastic.
Somebody just the other day said, what was that album you sent me? He said, those songs are spectacular.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't encourage me, man.
All right, it's 1 o'clock. We're out.
Are we getting fed?
Yeah, you want to go? I'm in. You guys want to come?
I'm going to get them back to...
Right.
We have a birthday party we have to get a present for.
Stupid kid's birthday party.
You're not getting out of buying me a hamburger.
I just said you want to go. I'm in. Yeah.
Don't try.
Well, we're not going order double, Jackie.
Where do you want to go?
We got to...
Are you going to miss me, girls?
Daphne just
She's
nodded
like
her head
this.
now.
That's what all the girls say. All right. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you, pal, for sticking around again and having given us some great stories.
You may
Thank
be
you,
rude,
Andy.
but compared to your sister, you're a delight. And if you're in Las Vegas, August 20th and 21st, I'll be at the Plaza, at the Comedy Works at the Plaza. I haven't been to Las Vegas in so long, and I'm getting more scared every second.
You're going to die out there.
The Jackie variant.
Right. I meant die from like partying and having a good time. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
And when's the Middletown?
I'm going to watch MSNBC myself to death.
The Middletown gigs, what? August what?
August 14th, Saturday
14th.
night, 9 p.m. with Shuli. I have no beat on whether, I really should look. I don't think the Stern people have a problem with Shuli. I think they love him. I have
As far as I know, they do, yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know what he did on the show. I have no idea why he left the show. But people are so weird about everything.
Yeah, true.
I just heard the other day that Howard's in Florida. I thought he's in the Hamptons all this time.
That's what I thought, too.
I thought so, too. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe is
New
he
York?
opening back up? Maybe?
Somebody might be right now saying, I told Jack he's in.
Right.
Like, I care.
Don't forget August 12th, too. That's the John Ziegler benefit. Do you know John Ziegler by any chance?
No, I don't. People keep asking me if I know him, and I don't think I ever met him.
Funny guy, very funny guy, good guy. Yeah. Special benefit for him Thursday, August 12th here at the club in Levittown. Joey Cola is hosting. Colin Quinn will be here for that, and a lot of great guys. Chris Roach, Mick Thomas, Joe DeVito, Tim Burke. Mick Thomas.
Why do I know?
Tim Gage.
I'm so out of the loop. I don't know why. Should I know that?
You know who Chris Roach is, yes?
I know. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm talking about this guy.
Oh, Ziegler? He's
You know what?
He's like 6 months away. Like before
gotta-
his
Yeah,
second,
he-
he's 6 months away from maybe
he's
him.
like on a maybe. He's almost. I would say he's on like a Carrie Carravas level.
yeah.
You know
yeah.
Carrie, right?
Yeah, but I know her from the Friars Club. I'm just trying to think where I.
But
I was so out. From like 1986 on. The shows I did were
Yeah.
just me or just me in an opener.
Sure.
Because I was making money, and it wasn't that I deserved that. It's just that fame has nothing to do with where you stand in the comedy ranks, but you wind up not meeting
Right.
Yeah.
a decade and a half worth of people.
He's definitely one of the heavy hitters in the local scene, and maybe a little beyond the local scene.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's like 6 months away from you knowing him. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like
yeah.
he's like right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's you'd be scared who I don't know. I mean, I don't pay attention to the Stern stuff, but I don't pay attention to comedy. I'm so set apart. I still like doing my gigs, and I love getting called, and I hate getting canceled, and I hate not drawing, and I like, I drew a lot of people one week, and then the next week my gig was canceled, and then the next week I drew a lot of people. So
Right.
It's hard to gauge now.
humble.
Yeah.
It is
This
nobody
post we're in a
knows.
weird
Yeah.
Nobody
spot.
knows nothing.
Right. So that's August 12th.
Well, tell him, give him my best. And
I
tell
will.
him I'm sorry he's.
Absolutely. He'll be thrilled to hear that.
Tell you.
Don't forget, August 21st at McGuire's, the Uncle Louie Variety Show will be there. Those guys are hilarious. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're from Syracuse, but they're good friends of our show. They're going to be Zooming with us. I think it's August. Oh boy,
Now, who is Uncle Louie?
It's two guys, Carlo and Lou are their names, and they do off the boat Italian stuff. And they have a big following in the Italian community, and they travel the country. They've been to Australia. Apparently, there's a big Italian community in Australia, which I never knew until
There's a big
everywhere.
Italian community on every corner.
Well,
Everywhere.
true.
Yeah.
So they're big in that world, and they have their own. They do something similar to this every once in a while on social media, and they're good guys. They've been with us a lot. So Thursday, maybe it's the 12th. Thursday, August 12th, they're going to be Zooming in with us on our show.
Tell him I said
So-
ciao.
They're good guys, and they do have a date at the brokerage coming up. But I don't know the date off the top of my head. But go to govs.com to get all the schedule
what
and make
town
your
are they
reservations. They're up from Syracuse, up in Syracuse. Yeah, good guys. So and today is Friday, so don't forget tonight here on Govs Radio. We got films on tap tonight at 9. It's Kevin's farewell party. He's still going to be on the show, but he's moving from New York, so he'll just be on the Zoom. So this will be his last show with the gang. They're going to be in the studio with Sallie tonight. So that's tonight at 9. Don, Sallie, and myself will be on here tomorrow night for live from the green room. I think Kevin Downey Jr. is playing the patio, I believe. So that'll be fun. He'll definitely come in. Dice is headlining the club. I doubt he's coming in. Anthony Rodia's playing the club The Late Show, so maybe he'll stop in, him and Goomba. But I'm sure there'll be other comedians hanging around. They always stop in. It'll be fun. So that's tomorrow night at 7:30. And then Sallie and I are back here on Monday at 11 a.m. And again, wishing Sallie and her sister all the best today. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you, fellas.